Hello, Women on Wheels friends, and anyone else that may be listening. I am finally coming on here to do a recap from Western Mass 70.3. The race was a couple weeks ago now, so I figured I should get it done before I race again next weekend in Happy Valley. So Western Mass 70.3 in Springfield, about 45 minutes from my house. So pretty much a hometown race, which is awesome. Sleeping in your own bed, eating your own food, all of that good stuff. My original plan for this year was to stay local. That's changed a bit, but that's why I decided to sign up for Western Mass. I also wanted to do a little bit more than just race. So my week started on Friday volunteering at Athlete Packet Pickup. I wouldn't say packet pickup was too busy, but we did see some folks and I talked to a lot of great people. I volunteered with a big group from the Cyclonauts group. If you're kind of in the tri world or the running world, you may be familiar with that group. So it was really fun doing athlete check-in, kind of giving back. And I figured it was pretty safe to do that on Friday, which still gave me all day Saturday, the day before the race, to do what I needed to do. So I headed down to Springfield early, like right when Athlete Village opened, to do my personal check-in and kind of walk around. It was one of the smaller athlete villages I had been in. It was in the Mass Mutual Center, that I still poked around, got something at the merch tent, had my athletic brewing, and then did my volunteer slot. So that was Friday. After volunteering, I walked to the riverfront just to look at transition, swim exit, things like that. Swim exit had some pretty big stairs. So I wanted to take a look at that and walk up a couple just to see how it felt. So I kind of got the lay of the land, figured out where to park and all that good stuff for race day. Saturday, I'm at home, so I did all my workouts and preps and stuff at home. Then I went down to Springfield to do the athlete briefing meeting, because both of those on Friday were during my volunteer slot, so I really couldn't focus on it. So I went back Saturday to do the athlete briefing and then drop off my bike. When I dropped off my bike, that's when you get to be in transition. So again, I focused on lay of the land. Where do you bike in and out? Where do you run in and out? Swim exit, what path are you running? Bike exit, what path are you running? These transitions were long. I've done a lot of Ironman racing and Ironman branded racing, and these were maybe the longest transitions I've ever done. It was a long run for both things. So from the swim to the bike out to the bike in, and then the run out wasn't too bad. That was actually, once you left transition, you were on the course. Running's a little different, but for the swim and bike, it was a lot. So race day, so we had the 45-minute drive, transition to open at 4:30, race started at 6. So only an hour and a half of transition opening. You had to walk 1.2 miles to the swim start. There was no shuttle. You could get dropped off, but again, logistically with my dad wanting to watch and all that stuff, I decided to walk like everyone else. So we left our house at 3:30 to park and be there at 4:30 opening, which means I think I had my alarm set for 2:30. But I was pretty much up at 1:30. The pre-race vibes and jitters. I was up early. So I got out of bed though at 2:30. Had breakfast. I usually do eggs, bagel, peanut butter, banana, granola bar, some combination of those things. So I had eggs and toast in the morning. Then I took a banana and some toast with peanut butter for the car ride, transition, walking to swim start. Got there for transition setup. I was super glad I got there right at 4:30 because I used all of that time. So I set my stuff up, came out of transition, used the bathroom, stretched, went back in transition, double checked everything. I always like to check everything again as more and more people come to make sure no one moved your stuff or accidentally knocked something over. So I went in and checked things again around 5-ish, I think it was. And then 5:15, I started the walk down to the swim start and got down there, used the bathroom again, finished up my snacks. They had athlete gear, drop-off bags. So anything that you carried with you that you didn't need, you put in that morning clothes bag. and then you turn that in. Got my wetsuit on, and I had about 5 minutes until the official race start. So again, I used every minute of that. If you were doing that race again next year, I would say get there right when transition opens and be prepared for the walk. I mean, I wouldn't start walking any later than 5:15. Hindsight, I might have started walking 5-ish minutes earlier just to give me a few more minutes down there. I didn't feel rushed, like I had enough time to do it, but it would have been nice just to have a couple spare extra minutes just in case the bathroom line was a little longer, the wetsuit was being a little funny or whatever. Lined up for the swim, totally fine. Gun goes off at 6. And then we kind of all shuffled in from there. It was definitely on the smaller scale of racing, so we got in the water pretty quickly. I think there was like 12 or 1,300 of us. Swim was a point-to-point swim downstream in the Connecticut River. Whole bunch of hoopla and drama on the Facebook page about the river and the sewage and the rain and then this and then that. Like, headache. Everyone, we're doing the race. If it's safe to swim, they'll let us swim. If it's not safe to swim, they'll cancel it. Like, yeah, you can talk about it, but it is what it is. Again, I've done a lot of racing. I can probably count on a half of hand, 2, 3 fingers, how many swims I've done that are like beautiful. Like one which is in a reservoir that you can't swim in any other time of the year in Virginia. So if you want to go do Blue Ridge and climb 5 miles up to the Blue Ridge Parkway, there's going to be your nice swim. But other than that, the swim's a swim. So the swim was fine. To be honest, it was shallow. You could see the bottom the whole time and I didn't get sick. So there was no complaints. The swim was all good though. I was by myself most of the time because it was point to point. There was like no turning or anything. Like the last buoy, you have to turn in like left to get to the land. But other than that, I was pretty much by myself. A couple times I got with people, but I was able to get away from them. Sighting's easy because it's a straight line. You go over under a couple bridges. One had a train going over it. That was like a little weird noise, but all in all, swim was good. Water was warm. Whatever rumor going around that the water was 50 something degrees is completely false. I swim in some pretty cold water in May in New Jersey, and this was nowhere close to that. We weren't allowed to warm up for the swim, so I did splash some water on my face from my water bottle before I lined up. Figured it was better than nothing. And then I got in the water and there was no like or anything like that. Like I was prepared for a couple buoys to need to catch my breath. Wasn't the case at all. Long sleeve wetsuit, water was fine. So all that drama with the swim and all that hoopla that you've all heard, all fake news. Swim was fine. So you get out of the swim, up these big steps, long walk, or long run, I should say. We're racing. Long run to transition, hopped on my bike. Bike is my happy place. So I immediately got on the bike, just started cranking. You kind of go by the Basketball Hall of Fame, over the bridge, roundabout to Agawam, and then you're every which way. Again, bike ride, a lot of drama about how bumpy the roads are. If you ride in New England, if you ride in Connecticut, and you have 56 miles of perfectly paved roads, please send me the Ride with GPS file. I would love to ride that course. It's bumpy. It snows. There's plows. There's things happen in Connecticut. So again, a lot of drama. Were there rough spots? Yeah. Did you need to make sure that your water bottle stayed in? Yeah. But guess what? We all had to do it. This is part of racing. Again, I've ridden on courses way worse. I've ridden 56-mile to chip sealed roads in Waco, Texas with no cops controlling traffic. Like I've ridden worse. Good thing about this race is if you live local, you can go ride the course, which I did to get an idea. I would say practice ride is a little harder because you're only in your like shoulder. Race day, you have a whole lane. So that was definitely more helpful to navigate the bumps and things like that. The parts of the road that were crummy, none of the sections were too long, and then you would immediately get on nice pavement again. There was one spot where I have a water bottle on the top of my front hydration that started to get pushed out a little. It's in front of me, so I noticed it and just pushed it back in. But other than that, it was good. The bike ride has one pretty big climb up into Grainville. Again, if you're around here, you've maybe ever ridden that route before. I think it's pretty popular. Other than that, it's just a lot of rolling hills. Nice rolling hills, nothing too crazy. 3 aid stations on course. I tried to get water at all 3. The first one I think I was going too fast through. I tried to get like 3 water bottles and I couldn't get a hold of one. But I slowed down a bit more for the other 2 just to refill on some water. That was the bike ride. I mean, we went back and forth with the same kind of folks like I usually do. The community came out hard for the bike ride. It was awesome. There were so many people on their front lawns, at the end of their neighborhoods, tent set up, music playing, partying, cheering you on, drums, bagpipes. I mean, we saw it all. The community showed up in Western Mass. Like, it was by far the most support on a bike course throughout 56 miles that I've ever seen. It was so incredible. I had a total blast with it too. Like, very few points on the bike course was there not someone out. So I was like whooping it up with the people, having a blast, thanking them for cheering. It was so cool. It was probably one of the highlights of the race for me. It was just the amount of support on that bike course. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's just cool to see a town get behind it too, because it's a big production to have an Ironman through your town, even if it's 1,300 people racing. And we kind of come in and disrupt things and shut roads down to see people buying into that and like thoroughly enjoying their day and cheering us on was incredible. I had no issues with cars. I thought cops did a good job. You know, I kind of, parts that I needed to be cautious or keep my eyes up a bit, I did. But I didn't have any issues. I read a couple of things on the Facebook page. I didn't hear anything too awful on race day. So, you know, I think it's a kind of like your typical race, right? Like, there's some spots that are going to be a little more sketchy than others, and then, you know, some parts are covered well. I think it's inevitable when you go out through 56 miles that there's some parts that you just got to be a little more heads up on. So I think I'll do nutrition at the end. So yeah, bike was good for me. I came off the bike, kind of confusion if I was like a minute ahead or a minute behind, but regardless, I had moved up a few spots for my swim, which I had a really good swim for me, which I was happy about. And then I knew the bike was my opportunity to move up like normal. So I did that. Again, kind of my head behind. If anything, though, I was up there in my age group. And I think I was top 10 overall when I got off the bike. So then came the run. The run, so if you kind of think of it like transition in the middle and you do like a loop, you come run by transition, you do another loop, and then you do all of that again. So it was actually great for spectators, and great for aid stations, because every aid station you hit twice and there was a lot of them. The run wasn't too hilly. There was 2 bridges that we had to go up and over both directions. But other than that, pretty flat. You're kind of like on this run path by the river. You go over the bridge, you run around the park, go over the bridge, back on the path, and then you do like an out and back on the path past the Basketball Hall of Fame. So the run, I decided I was racing so well, and I was like, let me just not look at my watch. I'm not going to look at my pace. I'm just going to go off feel. Like, if I'm feeling good, I'm going to keep chugging along. If I start to feel crummy, I'll pull it back. I peeked at my watch for time because I needed to eat when I needed to eat. But other than that, I didn't really focus on the pace much. So again, the first lap, kind of some confusion if I was ahead or behind. And then I think we kind of determined I was like, I don't know, a minute and a half or so behind. So that means I was like second in my age group. I got bumped out of the top 10, which I kind of expected on the run overall. But I finally had a run I'm proud of. It's been a long journey on the run, and usually I kind of die near the end and don't feel great and just kind of like get through and it's good enough. This run I would say I'm quite proud of. About the last 5K, couple girls in front of me. And my dad was like, one of those girls is in your age group, go get her. And I did everything I could too. I actually ran down the two girls in front of me, which kind of blew my mind. I was like, let me try. Like, I'll regret if I don't try. And if I need to pull back, I pull back. But, I could see as I got closer to them that they were definitely back on their heels a bit, and I was still feeling good. So I kept on cruising. And then once I passed both of them, I was determined to keep cruising because I wanted to do my airplane at the finish line. It's like one of my favorite parts of the race. Um, so I was like, let me make sure I'm far ahead enough, and I can't sprint, right? I don't ever train that like sprinting gear in me. That does not exist. So there's a part where you go under the bridge and back onto the main road to like go downtown to finish. And I kept looking and looking, and I couldn't see her, and I couldn't see her, and I looked again and I couldn't see her. And so then I knew like I was pretty much good and I could airplane to the finish. But again, like, because the tracker was kind of messed up and I didn't know if those girls were really in my age group. They looked young, but how young, I don't know. But I was happy that I was able to like catch up to these two girls. And I think it's determined that one was definitely in my age group. But with the rolling start, it's hard to know like exactly where you land. So anyways, got to the finishing chute. It was like a little quieter, which was like different because I guess I was like in the front part of the race, which usually there's like, a couple more thousand people. So like, even though I'm like racing well for myself, I'm still kind of in the middle of the pack and there's like a lot of people at the finish line. So that was different. But of course, like my people were still there. My dad and boyfriend came with me for this race. And that was fun. My dad's like smile is like something I won't forget. It was so special standing there and just knowing like I had executed one of my better races and everything like that. And his smile kind of said it all. And I high-fived him and then hit that red carpet and did my airplane. Um, and I was pumped. So like when I finished, I was first in my age group, but there was a girl behind me that ended up beating me. She had a ridiculous run. I think I had her on the sim and the bike, but her run was just like next level. She was from Canada. So she came in a bit behind me, but ended up taking first in the age group. So I was second in the age group and then 15th overall female. So really, I mean, on a piece of paper, great result, but I was really proud with like the execution and some of those process goals. It was great to put together like a great race in all three disciplines and not really feel that like one was weighing me down. And that run, again, that's been a long time coming. Really, really happy and proud of myself for that. So yeah, that was the race. And I got done pretty early. So I had some time before awards. I talked to some friends from Athletic Brewing. I talked to the girl that I went back and forth with on the bike. But I was able to change, and my dad and I went out to lunch at Plan B and then kind of hung out for awards. I got my award and left. I did get a Finland spot. And kind of at the beginning of the year, that was my goal, was to see what I could do at some of these local smaller Ironmans to try to get that Finland spot. And I did. But I have decided to go to Xterra Worlds, which is off-road triathlon. So that will be in Italy in September. Came to that decision for a few reasons. There's been a lot of horror stories about Finland. Getting your bike there is difficult depending on where you're traveling from, because of spaces that airplanes have, getting a place to stay in the town, the money in the town to get a place to stay. Like, I've just heard horror stories. So that I was kind of like, then talking with my boyfriend, he was like, yeah, I'd rather go to Italy. And so it just kind of worked out that way. Of course, in like an ideal world, I would do everything and go to both world championships, but for all the reasons, that's just like not realistic. So, I've chosen to go to Italy. That will be September 23rd. And that will be my world championship for this year. So, it does feel good though to like qualify and get a spot. I think that's 3 years in a row that I've gotten a spot. I've decided to do 70.3 worlds once. It's a big commitment and not always kind of in the cards. But it does feel good, to have that accomplishment and to qualify and have the option. Because because I know it's like not everyone gets that, and it's a privilege, you know, to get that. And I don't know, I never thought I would like be having to choose between two world championship races. It's like a little crazy to me. But I'm happy with my decision, and then to turn my race into a vacation after with my boyfriend will be fun. Um, so yeah, that was kind of the overall. Nutrition is always the big question everyone has, so I will touch on that. And then if anyone has like specifics about this race, let me know. I'd be happy to answer. So nutrition, again, I told you what I did for breakfast. I took a gel once I got my wetsuit on, so maybe like 10 minutes before swim start. Maybe it was a little before, maybe it was when I was going to the bathroom. Yeah, I think it was going to the bathroom. I took my gel. So I would say probably like 20 minutes before swim start. Took a gel, swam. On the bike, I had 2 bottles with Precision Hydration drink mix and then 1 plain bottle. And then I had a gel every 30 minutes. So I had one once I got like on the bike, cruising, kind of settled in. So maybe like 5-10 minutes into the bike, I took a gel. And then 2 gels in a bottle per hour. So that puts me, I think it's like around 64 grams of carbs an hour. I'm shooting, I mean, I think kind of standard this day is at least 60 grams of carbs an hour. It would be good to get myself up a little more at some point, but what I've been doing is working for me for now. So I'm kind of stay there and deciding the next steps to, you know, add in some more carbs, maybe through a heavier drink mix concentration, because I'm not sure how many more gels I want to eat. But for this race, it was 2 gels and a bottle an hour on the bike. And then the run, 2 gels an hour. So I stick to that. I carried a handheld plain water, and then I stop at all the aid stations to get water and ice. I put ice under my hat and put that back on my head, ice down my sports bra, and then I carry my water with my gels. The gel packets on the run, when I'm done with them, I kind of just stuck them in my sports bra. And when I go by an aid station, I throw out the trash. So that's kind of my standard 2 gels in a bottle an hour. I do have the like salt pill tab things from Precision. I used those last year. I didn't use them at this race. I'll probably use them again at Happy Valley. It looks like it's going to be real hot. But when I implement those, it's kind of like 1 or 2 an hour, depending on how I'm feeling. So I didn't need it for this race, didn't miss it, but I'll probably, again, Happy Valley is going to be much hotter. So I'll probably bring those to that. As far as gels, I'm using Precision and Cis gels, the Science and Sport. And then drink mix, I'm using Precision. Day before race, I hydrate all day with Precision. They're like 500 level is what's recommended. A 1500 packet at dinner, a 1500 packet at breakfast, and then 1000 packet all day. If that's confusing for you, look up Precision Fuel and Hydration. You'll see what I'm talking about with the different concentrations. So that plan was kind of laid out for me by Precision in the meeting I had with them. And I've stuck to it. This will be the 3rd race. I did Chat, Placid, and now Springfield kind of on their formula, and it's working. So I'm sticking to it. So that's my nutrition. So again, any questions about the course, logistics, nutrition, I'll answer the best I can. I think for a local Ironman branded race, they did a great job. You can't beat a race close to home if you're in this Connecticut, Mass-ish area. If you're from a little farther out of town, come on down. It's a smaller race. I think you'll enjoy it. I anticipate there'll be more people signed up next year, but I still think in the scheme of Ironman, it will still be a smaller race. And then you're close to Boston if you want to turn it into like a few extra days around here. So yeah, I think that's that. If you have questions, let me know, and I'll be doing another one of these soon after I do Happy Valley 70.3 in State College, Pennsylvania. So we'll be at Penn State. We'll be finishing in the stadium, which is pretty cool. That's looking like it's going to be a hot and hilly slog fest. So stay tuned. I expect a bit slower time than Springfield, but I still think the bike will suit my strengths. So looking forward to that. Thank you so much for the messages, the comments, for following along, all that good stuff. Always appreciate all the love and support, and let me know if you have any questions. All right. Have a good day.